Alright, hi guys. My name is Jim Morley. I'm going to be your instructor throughout Introduction to Computers. One of the things that I want to go through first, though, is I want to show you a little bit about the system that I'll be using for this class. You'll notice on the screen here that this is just your normal Windows XP login. But I'm actually using a virtualization program that allows me to have the operating system up in another window. So you'll see this black bar up above here telling you that I am actually using a virtual machine, which allows me to go between Windows XP and Windows 7. Now, some of you may have Windows 7, some of you may have Windows XP. On the job, most businesses use Windows XP, so you'll be seeing most of the stuff that we use will be in XP. However, I want to give you guys a look at Windows 7 because most of the new computers that you buy now will be included in Windows 7. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to log in. So I'm just going to type in my password here and log into Windows XP. And you'll see it comes up with your basic desktop. There's not a lot of icons. This is a fresh install. There's really not a whole lot on this system. You'll see this little VM icon down here. That is also from the virtual machine. There may be options that you don't have that you may see on this, so don't think that you're missing something or don't get excited. It's okay, but there may be some differences between mine and yours. But all of the basic concepts that I'll be going through will be across the XP Windows 7 board, so you should have no problems. One of the first things we want to look at, though, is just your standard desktop, and that's what this is. Normally, you'll probably see a bunch of icons along the side here. You have the taskbar down at the bottom here with the time over here, and then you also have the start menu. The start menu is where you get to your programs, your My Computer, the My Documents, the Internet, and so on. One of the things that we do want to do right away is we want to make sure that the My Computer, My desktop, or my documents, and that are on the desktop themselves. So we're going to right click on the desktop and go to Properties. Now this is your basic display properties. This is not your Windows properties. These are just for the display. And as you can see in here, we can change themes, we can put in different backgrounds, different screensavers. You can change the style of the appearance of the windows, as well as the settings and resolution of the screen itself. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to go down here to Customize Desktop. Now this, if you're using Windows XP, this is what you'll normally see. With newer versions of Internet Explorer, this option's not here. It's on the desktop by default. So we're going to go ahead and check all of these boxes, and we're going to uncheck the Run Desktop Cleanup Wizard because all it does is every 60 days tells you what icons are on your desktop that you don't normally use. I find that a little bit annoying at times because it's always popping up in the corner telling you that you need to clean up your desktop. If you want to manually do it, you can come in here and click the button. So we'll go ahead and we'll click OK, and the first thing we want to do is we want to click Apply. And you'll notice that when you click Apply, all the icons will show up right here on the desktop. So we have My Documents, My Computer, My Network Places, Internet Explorer, and the recycling bin is there by default. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Windows 7 now, and you'll see the same type of login screen as before with a newer, updated look. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And when we log in, you'll see that a lot of it is very similar. You still have your time down here in the corner. The taskbar is a different style, but it's still the taskbar down below. Now instead of actually saying start, you have they call the start. It still goes to the start menu, but they call it the Windows button. So you click that and you'll see the same things. So we want to go ahead and do what we did before in Windows XP. So we'll go ahead, we'll right click again. We'll go to Personalize this time. It's a little bit different. It's not Properties. You're going to go to Personalize. And it's going to give you a bunch of different options right away. Instead of being in a window with a bunch of tabs, it kind of gives you a little bit more options to scroll. There's a lot of themes here. You can see the background here, the window color. You can change sounds in here, screensaver. But what we want to do is we want to change the desktop icons. And when you click on this, it'll give you a screen similar to what there was before. Now you see that that cleanup wizard is no longer there. Obviously, people don't really use it that often. So we'll go ahead and we'll click all of these. Okay. And then we want to click apply. You always want to click apply first to make sure that it does what you want it to do. That way, because if you click OK, it'll do the same thing, but when you click apply, you can see it actually working beforehand. So we'll go ahead and click OK here. Now, one of the first things that I do want to go over with you guys is your system properties. A lot of people, you'll ask them, hey, how much RAM do you have in your computer? What's your processor speed? What's your computer name? And a lot of people don't know that. So one of the first things we want to do is you want to right click on my computer or computer in Windows 7 here, and you want to click on properties. Now this will give you the actual window properties, okay? So you'll look here and you'll see the full computer name right here, and that is your actual computer name. Now what you log in as is your login name. That's different. This is the full computer name. One of the other things you'll notice is my processor here. That is the processor for my actual computer, not the actual system here, because I am running it on a virtual machine. It does show my actual processor. It'll show you that I'm only using a gig of RAM for this virtual machine, which is fine. Some of you may be up into the 4 to 6 gig range, depending on how new the computer actually is. If you are above 4 gigs, one of the things you should notice is it probably does not say 32-bit operating system. It will more than likely say 64-bit operating system. Now, why it does that? Because a 32-bit operating system cannot show more than 4 gigs of RAM. It will never show exactly 4. It'll show 3.99 maybe at some point, but most of the time it shows less than 4 gigs of RAM. So if you do see 4 gigs or more, you probably have a 64-bit operating system. Now that'll come into play when you're downloading programs. You'll notice that they give you options now of a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system. If you have a 64-bit operating system, you need to make sure that you download the 64-bit program, because it will run better on a 64-bit operating system. So I'm going to bounce back to XP real quick, and I'm going to show you the same thing. We just go to my computer again, do a right click, and down to properties. And there it is again. You'll see you have the processor and the RAM here. Now on the XP machine, I'm only using 512 megabytes. That is less than a gigabyte. 1,000 megabytes equals 1 gigabyte. So I'm using half the RAM for XP. It is an older operating system, and it doesn't need as much power as the Windows 7. Plus, I'm only using this for demonstration, so there's really no need for me to show you to beef it up too much. One of the things you will notice right here is it says the operating system and what service pack. That is important at times, especially with XP. It is an older operating system, so newer programs may or may not run without the newest service pack. So right now, I just have service pack 2. I may have to update that later when we start going into the actual Word applications, because we will be using 2010, and we want to make sure that we can run it correctly. Then you'll go into the computer name here, and you'll see it says Jim Dash and a whole bunch of numbers. This is all customizable. I can click change right here and actually change the computer name. Now to do so, it'll have to restart, so I'm not going to mess with that right now. You can also give your computer a description too, so that you know where it is in your system. And in the case of kitchen computer or Mary's computer, you know which computer it is. However, changing the computer name, you can change it to whatever you want. So that can give you the option of telling you, well, I want this one to be my office PC, and if I have a laptop, that one will be, my laptop, or I'll call it gym laptop. So there's a lot of different customizable options that you can have. Now, one of the things real quick before I finish this that I want to show you is how to log off. There's a difference between shutting down and logging off. Okay, when somebody says, have you restarted, have you shut down the computer, there are many different options here. Now, by default, this is all they give you. Okay, they just give you this. If I were to hit this button right now, it would turn off the computer. Okay, so what I want to do is I actually want to just log off. So I'm going to click the log off button, and you'll see it'll give me the option I can just switch between users or I can log off. Now the thing you want to watch with switching between users is that if you switch users, it's not going to actually log you off. So you will still be logged in. You can just switch to another user. That can be uh, important when you're restarting. It'll tell you, hey, there's another user logged on. Do you want to log them off? Sometimes you don't have the right to log off those people. If you have a child and you restrict their rights, they don't have the right to log you off. So this can be useful at times, but it can also hinder installing programs and stuff like that. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to log off completely. And we're going to do the same thing in Windows 7. Now, the look of this is a little bit different. When we go down here and we click the Windows button, you'll see the little word here, the button here that says shut down, but beside it is going to be an arrow. When I click the arrow, it gives me all the different options right there. I got the option to switch user, I have the option to log off, to lock the computer, restart and sleep, all from this one menu. So again, we're just going to log off from the Windows 7. And that's all it is. So we go back to our login screen here, and in XP, again, same login screen. We'll be going into a little bit more in the next lecture, but I want to get this stuff situated right away, where the properties are, where your RAM is. Those kind of things will be asked of you when you get into the actual assignments. So be sure that all this works on your computer. If you have any problems, please let me know.